Yacht A, welcome to Navajo Sage Weaver Tarot's channel. Thank you. Pisces, this is your reading. Pisces, I am going to shake the gourd and move any stagnation. All right, Pisces, I've already pulled your card and I laid out the cards, and this is what we have. And so it looks like Pisces here, you're starting off with the Strength card, sitting on top of your, you know, you're lying here looking up at the moon, maybe reflecting your strengths, right? Coming in here, um, immersing within yourself. So Pisces, so you're ready to face something, right? You face a challenge. Your lion's looking one direction, you're looking up. And then you have the structures of the triangle here within yourself, that sacred place as being guarded, with your strength, not letting anything come in, right? And then move on to the two of swords here, that challenge you were looking at, right? The one that is coming in brings in the two of swords, making it some sort of decision so you don't get all wrapped up in this string here. And, maybe spirit here is trying to help you unravel your inner self, is trying to unravel whatever decisions that you're considering in your journey, Pisces. You want to make the right choice. That's why you come in here with your strength, with a strength energy. Then you move into the Four Cups here, feeling it right within yourself, your spirit guide, you know, helping you get out, keeping keeping that that protection on you with the Four of Cups, going within, sitting, reflecting, meditating, right? With the strength here, bringing that in, you know, looking at your inner strength. And now you're reflecting on it. How does it feel? Sometimes, that inner conflict isn't a good feeling, but our spirit guides are always there, protecting us, even though we can't see it, right? It's a veil here with the Four of Cups here, and um sometimes we don't see that veil all the time, right? Then you have the Knight of Cups here, Pisces moving moving into a new direction, right? After your reflection here with the Four of Cups, you, you know, contemplating on your situation. Now you know what direction you want to go in, your heart, your path, you're being guided, by your spirit guide, because you bringing in the strength card, you listening to your intuition here. When you do that, you know, and when you reflect on it, and then now you're the magician, You know, your spirit guide's not holding, they're not tangled up. They're not tangling, helping you tangle up things. They're not holding you, protecting you, helping you move forward. And now, like with the magician, you're holding spirit, your spirit guide. You're using your magician, right? The um all your skills and talent here, Pisces. You're manifesting that dream right here with the strength too and bringing it in, manifesting. And sometimes we have to use our magician, being creative so we can, when we reflect, we can find a way to creatively move forward, so we can see what the next, what our next challenges are in our lives, right? And then the Knight of Pentacles here, being committed, like Pisces, you're not gonna use a lawnmower, push one, right? You're gonna bring out your tractor. This time you're gonna um be persistent in your goal because you're took all your skills and talent here with the magician, and now you're gonna, use it in a way, where now you have bigger machinery that can help you in that way, with your Knight of Pentacles here. You're determined, being dedicated to it, you know, that bringing in that manifestation, right? And then you have the Justice here. And, like whatever you're built, right? Like the buildings back here, whatever you're built, you're not gonna let anything come in and take it away. You're got your sword up there, you're gonna find balance, connecting with spirit there, with the justice, you're taking that firm, you're making sure things are balanced, whatever you're manifesting, bring it in. You want to make sure you want to do the right thing, Pisces. And then we have the Empress here, which is, you know, um, like the Magician here. Once you, or the Four of Cups here, once you feeling the feelings, right? And then moving that energy and then using all your talent, you have to nurture it, and so now you're nurturing this whatever manifestation you're bringing in, Pisces, with the Empress, you know, connecting, maybe you're going outside or you need to go outside, Pisces, sit on, lean on a tree, um, like tonight or yeah, this evening, in my evening, um, I was gifted some birch water, and so it was really nice to drink some tree water for once, and then the springs. So connecting, and grounding yourself. And then the high priestess here, once you nourish it, right? Once you nourish your manifestation, sit with it. Make sure what your environment's, good. You brought your tractor out here and you're going to protect it. And you're going to find, you know, fairness in it. When you do that, the high priestess is here, tapping into that inner intuition here, connecting to the higher realm, after this introspe introspection. Yep. And then when you do that, right? When you become that high priestess, when you start moving the energy with the King of Cups, being dedicated, committed, protecting it, nourishing it, sometimes, death comes in. The energy has to come in. because it makes the transformation, it changes things for us in a way that everything changes. If you make a decision, it changes, it changes everything. Maybe, um, for instance, um, say that you are manifesting, a job or going to school or some sort of goal, right? And you go within yourself, Pisces, and, being protected by spirit, and you follow, you dedicate yourself, you follow your own inner wisdom, you nourish it, you make sure, there's balance in it, and then connecting the death here, helps us, see, um, helps us see that transformation. Um, and we start letting go of things, that maybe got us all tangled up in here, right, Pisces? Then you have the Two of Pentacles here, maybe, sometimes, when we get tangled up in here with the Two of Swords, right? It's because we're juggling, we're juggling multiple things. You know, maybe you're a parent, right? And you're juggling all these things here, and sometimes it's hard to, you know, um, that's why we're starting off with the strength, with the manifestation, looking at our strength, and going within and trying to move it and trying to be dedicated and stuff. And so sometimes, what we're juggling sometimes will have this change, right? This this change in our lives, Pisces. And then, there's maybe priorities and, responsibilities that you have. And then, once you figure out, like, being dedicated to it, nurturing it, um, then you're like an expert here, you're like a pro, with a queen of materials and our emotions here, she's learning how to master, you know, maybe one thing at a time, right? Whatever whatever emotion brings in, right? Make you feel bad, and you have to change it. There's emotions that we go through that changes that. And then you have the Eight of Cups here, feeling the need, to move on now, Pisces. You're moving away, you're letting your shells go. You're not looking back, spirits here still helping you, guiding you now, with all these little lights here, helping you with the path. And then when you do that, right, with the Three of Pentacles here, you start figuring out how you're gonna architect your life now because you're learning about that. Sometimes sitting down and figuring out what does Pisces want, right? What does Pisces want to manifest? Is it big, that you really do need a tractor? Building protecting your buildings, um, maybe you're trying to collaborate with other people too, Pisces, and make a project bigger, right? You know, um, like right now, people um are are starting to open um their space, right? So people can rent, or if they go vacation, they can use that space. And then also, what is that? Like those Airbnbs, so maybe you're learning how to do that, expand in some way, right? So just something that's, that you want to bring in, maybe you trying to architect a garden, right? Trying to figure out, your space and how much you can use of it. And then when you do that, right? Then um then you know where to go, right? You cutting through, taking charge. you're not confused anymore. You're not, you know, um, mapping out the three of pentacles here. You're not at that place now. You're taking action. Excuse me. Um, and because now you know where you want to go. And then you have the Nine of Pentacles here. And, it's just you're achieving those goals, right? Those financial goals, those um uh material, you feel really good, you're looking at it, you're taking care of it, right? Because you brought in your tractor here. Now you have a big farm of um uh sunflowers, because you were committed, protect it, nurtured it, you know, saw the change that it was doing, in your life, maybe. Um, and, maybe you were juggling a bunch of things too while you were planting some sunflower and you were trying to find balance, and it was making you emotional in a way, or maybe you're looking at the seeds of the sunflower and seeing it in a different way, the split, the start of it, the root, and the maybe you see the sprout of it, right? And then you saw it, and now you're letting some stuff go, within yourself, letting letting things that maybe, held you back in a way, and then now you're building with others, and maybe this is a project with others, or, maybe something, and now where you gotta where you gotta go because you nurture it, and now you got sunflowers, and with the King of Pentacles here. I mean, yeah, the King of Pentacles here, um being able to look at, the prosperous of all these, maybe, maybe that one, two, three seeds, right? Um of uh sunflowers, you know, maybe you're able to make some profit from it in a way, right? It made you feel good because you did all the work, right? Um, and now with the three emotions here, you're celebrating, you're enjoying, all these connections, with the water, with the the moon cycles, right? The uh how you're uh protecting and watering the seed, of your sunflower there, and um then with the hangman here, you took a different approach. Maybe you were confused about it, right? How do you start a farm of sunflowers, right? How do you start something, right? It gets discombobulated, right? And then sometimes you get to sit down and think about it, and you're like, okay, get tractor, nourishing it, watching it, letting things that are, blocking you moving forward, not because you did that, right? And now you're at the hangman with a different perspective, looking at it from a different angle, turning the image a different way, or maybe looking at it closer, maybe changing things, right? Changing formula, um, and figuring out, with the three emotions here, when you're celebrating, figuring out like, what can I do better, or what can happen? How big can I go next time, right? With the hangman, but finding you know, that wisdom, you know, by just looking at it from a different angle there, right, Pisces? And then you have the Eight of Swords, sometimes um we it might feel like a little constraint, right? When you're uh when you're working on something and you're juggling, things in life, and, it's good to celebrate and stuff, but then sometimes we get stuck here, um, with the Eight of Swords, you know, always trying to find, right, with this Three of Pentacles here, always trying to find the blueprint of how to get out of it, so you can keep on moving. Then when you do that, you have the Ace of Voices here, Pisces, you're like, um, almost to completion of whatever this is for you, this um, challenge situation, and then you're looking back and you're like, man, it made me feel like this. A good thing I took a different perspective, was able to nurture it, love it, change things about who I am. I got to see it, right? And yeah, I have to stop sometimes and do introspection, right? And it doesn't feel good right here with the Eight of Swords, but you find always overcome it, right? And when you do with the Ace of Swords, you're looking back at it and you're almost finished right here, and Spirit's been there to guide you, help you all the way, with all the lights and the arrows, and connecting your lion here still, showed you the path with the uh pyramid here, you get the pyramid there. Then you have, then you run into the high priestess, the same thing, connecting with your intuition, this time, you know, you have multiple portals, right? With the high priestess, you're because you listen into your intuition, and sometimes when we are very dedicated, right, Pisces, when you're very dedicated in something, it can get bigger and um bring us in this way where we end up having multiple portals open for us, that can change our life in a way that, you know, that can help us, because sometimes going spiritual sometimes is not easy, but it'll change a lot of things, And then you have the Five of Materials here, feeling some sort of um uh struggle, right? The materials, so maybe hitting, maybe something in your material world is being hit, an unexpected, tower, right? But here with the high priestess, you were probably like, okay, uh, I got almost to the finish line, and you know, and with the high priestess, you probably finished, right? And then going into the high priestess and looking at, that inner wisdom, that inner intuition. And sometimes, sometimes it changes something, right? Something material, Um, maybe you were holding a bowl and you dropped it, and that was your favorite bowl. And, you know, you can't find a bowl like that. And now that you've been, looking at bowls, they're expensive, Maybe you looked at five different bowls, and so they're expensive. Or maybe that's where you started your seed, you know. Now you're looking at it and you're taking some sort of hit in your pocket, your financial pocket, right? And then, but, you know, you have to reflect in it, and here you're all tangled up, you know, whatever you're manifesting. And now, spirit's like not letting you feel your feelings, because for some reason it's good to feel those feelings, because that way you know how it feels, when it comes, and you learn how to love it and take care of it. So it changes, and spirit's not letting, the confusion of the strings to come near you. And then you're holding on to the past, right, Pisces? Because you your manifestation, you know, um, being dedicated and nurturing it and watching it grow and change, and taking a look back, and now spirit got your back, you know. like really got your back because it's not letting it touch, but it's letting you feel, and it's painful. And you're just trying to hold on and have that tower, but feel it, because it's gonna change us, right, Pisces? Anything that you feel and that in our journey, sometimes if it's painful, there's always something, a change coming in, and spirit hasn't left you, still, didn't let you feel something, right? Because they had to, and you got disappointed there. And so maybe this tower is that's coming in, it's not going to allow you to feel this. Go right into the Empress there. So I would say that is your message, Pisces. Pisces, I am going to pull one daily message card for you. All right. It says, seek to enlarge your appreciation of the beauty of nature, animal, and humans. Seek to enlarge your appreciation of the beauty of nature, animals, and humans. All right, Pisces, I just want to say thank you so much for coming to my channel, and I hope this message helped you. And I just want to say, Hujonas clean, Hujonas clean, Hujonas clean, Hujonas clean. I